Alright. The Dominican Republic is predominantly a Christian nation, with the majority of its population identifying as Catholic. A significant portion of the population also incorporates Afro-Caribbean beliefs and syncretic practices like voodoo and Santeria, often blending them with Christian traditions. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all take a look at that yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Do your research on your own. I'm not finna read all that. We finna go to the next thing. What are the spiritual beliefs of the Dominican Republic? Most Dominicans are Roman Catholic, but there are also other Christian denominations, including Jehovah's Witness and Evangelists. I'm gonna say it like that. You know what I'm saying? See, through this process, I'm learning as well, because I know for a fact this has something to do with me, honestly, and like lies that I have been told and all that. Like, I had to wipe out everything and like start over with everything. You know what I'm saying? So, what is the Dominican order spirituality? Dominican lives are rooted in the 4 Dominican pillars: prayer, study, community, and service, all for the sake of veritas, the truth of God's mercy and love. Prayer, the Dominican tradition is twofold: contemplative and communion. Okay, what is the origin of Dominican spirituality? Saint Dominic, I'm gonna say Dominic, recognized the need for educated and prayerful men to preach the truth of the gospel. See, they already trying to mess with my tongue. Truth of the gospel to Cathars and bring them back to Christ. Gathering a band of 16 preachers, he founded the order of preachers in Tulsa, France in 1216. What ideology is Dominican Republic? The Dominican Civil War of 1965 preceded the authoritarian rule of Joaquin Balaguer. I'm gonna say it like that. If I butcher it, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? 1966 to 1978 and 1986 to 1996. Since 1978, the Dominican Republic has moved towards representative democracy. What type of African is Dominican? Afro-Dominicans, also referred to as African Dominicans or Black Dominicans. Spanish, Afro-Dominicanos. I'm gonna say it like that, Dominicanos. I'm not saying that other one. Or Dominicans are Dominicans of predominant or total sub-Saharan African, Black African ancestry. By the way, after I said that, my right ear started ringing hard. What is the DNA of a Dominican? The Dominican population DNA is a blend of European, African, and native Taino. I'm gonna say Taino ancestry. Now, about that, I'm gonna show y'all something about that. Studies suggest that the average Dominican DNA is roughly 50 to 60% European, 5 to 10% native Taino, and 30 to 40% African. This genetic makeup is a result of the historical interactions between these groups on the island of Hispaniola. Okay, the details. European ancestry. The initial colonization by Spanish settlers contributed a significant European DNA component, particularly from Spain. Okay, African ancestry. The transatlantic slave trade brought in large numbers of enslaved Africans who also contributed to the genetic makeup of the Dominican population. Native Taino ancestry. The indigenous Taino people were the original inhabitants of Hispaniola, and their DNA is still present in the Dominican population. Mixed race heritage. Due to the historical mixing of these groups, the Dominican population is largely mixed race, with many individuals identifying as mestizo, or I'm gonna say it like that, mestizo, mixed European and native, mulatto, mixed European and African, or both. You feel me? Okay, the Dominican population DNA is a result of historical migrations and interactions. The average DNA admixture is roughly 50 to 60% European, 5 to 10% native and Taino, native Taino, and 30 to 40% African. You feel me? The majority of Dominicans identify as mixed race, right? I don't know why this might be a little bit extra, but we're gonna go ahead and throw this in. Why are some Dominicans white? The majority of the white Dominicans have ancestry from the first European settlers to arrive in Hispaniola in 1492 and descendants of the Spanish and Portuguese who settled in the island during colonial times, as well as the French who settled in the 17th and 18th century. My right ear started ringing hard again. It was like a little light one, a little light ring. What is the Taino race? Now this, I feel like this part right here really specifically hones in on me, because you see how he squats in the pictures, right? You see how this figure is squatting in the pictures, right? Now, if you go to my Facebook or anything like that, my Instagram, Facebook, like most people seen how I take pictures. The Taino were Arawak people who were living on the island now known as Hispaniola and other parts of the Caribbean. When Christopher Columbus arrived in the late 15th century, they lived in kingdoms called Caquots, each with dozens of villages where people fished and grew yams, cassava, and other crops. Okay, just pay attention to what I'm saying now. Do your own research, but pay attention to what I'm saying, because I'm learning as well, and I feel like I'm learning about myself at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I just have this intuition that something, I always knew about my life. It was something off. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't told nothing on a deeper level. I wasn't told anything on a deeper level, so I had to go digging for myself. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand more about myself as well. Okay, what does Cuban DNA look like? There are estimates that up to 1% of Cuban DNA is Chinese, although the veracity of these census records cannot be adequately evaluated. In actuality, the most recent estimates places places Cubans as 37% white, 51% mixed race, 11% black, and 1% Asian. Okay, what are the roots of the Dominican people? The majority of the population, around 70%, are of mixed African and European Spanish descent, with the remainder black, around 16%, and white 14%. And during the early colonial period, indigenous Taino Arawak communities were also part of the overall population. Do Cubans have African roots? Yes, Cubans have significant African roots due to the history of slavery and the African diaspora in Cuba. If I butcher these names, bro, if I butcher this, I am so sorry. I'm trying to tell you, these words, some of these words be a little bit difficult, bro. A substantial portion of the Cuban population, including those who self-identify as black, mulatto, or mestizo, have African ancestry. I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna see what this Afro-Cuban culture. The cultural expressions of Afro-Cubans, including music, dance, religion, and other art forms, are rooted in the traditions of various African ethnic groups brought to Cuba. The thing about my channel is not only just about me, it's about a lot of others. And also, when you look through my channel, you can see this is not just about one thing. This is about a lot of different things, bro. That's why I said y'all cannot hide this from me, and I already know that y'all lying about something. Whoever I'm talking to, they know who I'm talking to. While some Cubans self-identify as black, the vast majority have mixed European, African, and to a lesser extent, Native American ancestry. DNA studies continue to reveal the diverse and complex ancestry of Cubans, further solidifying the significance of African roots in Cuban identity. The way Cubans identify their ethnicity can also be influenced by social factors and self-perception as opposed to solely genetic heritage. Okay. What is the DNA of Puerto Rican? According to the National Geographic Project, the average Puerto Rican individual carries 12% Native American, 65% West Eurasian. I don't know why I said that like that. West Eurasian, Mediterranean, Northern Europe, and or Middle Eastern, and 20% Sub-Saharan African DNA. Okay, do Cubans have Native American DNA? As elsewhere, the discussion of indigeneity is impacted by new genetic studies, which for Cuba reveals that 34.5% of the general population is inheritor of Native American mitochondrial DNA. The highest levels are found in the eastern region of Cuba, Holguin, and 59%, and Las Tunas, 58%. You feel me? Do Tainos still exist? Okay, we about to go in. You know what I'm saying? I'm really feeling that part. I'm really feeling the Taino still. Like, I don't know why. That's really resonating with me. You know what I'm saying? Plus, you see the 3 rings on the sides of the ears. 3 rings on the sides of the ears. Yeah. Yes, Taino people still exist, although their identity has been shaped by centuries of colonization and intermingling with other cultures. While many people of Puerto Rican, Cuban, and Dominican descent have Taino ancestry, often passed down through their maternal line, some also actively identify as Taino and practice traditional customs. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that word right. Like, I really hope so. Okay, descendants and identity. While the Taino were decimated by European colonization, their genetic legacy and cultural traditions persist in various communities across the Caribbean, particularly in Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic. Mitochondrial DNA evidence. Studies of mitochondrial DNA inherited through the maternal line has shown a significant percentage of Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and Dominicans have Taino ancestry, cultural revival, and identity. Some communities actively work to persevere and revive Taino's traditions, while others integrate Taino cultural elements into their daily lives, often in secret. Modern Taino identity. There are groups of people who identify as Taino, and some scholars like Jalil Badalo at the University of Puerto Rico assert that the survivors of colonization had descendants who intermarried with other ethnic groups, leading to the modern mixed ancestry of the Caribbean. Okay, mixed ancestry. A high percentage of individuals in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic have mixed or triracial. Ooh, my ear ringing hard right now. That's crazy. Have mixed or triracial ancestry with Taino, Spanish, and African roots. Continued struggle for recognition. Some Taino communities and individuals are actively fighting for greater recognition and rights within the respective nations, as seen in Puerto Rico. You feel me? Who has the most Taino DNA? Several genetic studies about the DNA makeup of the modern Puerto Rican population concluded that Puerto Ricans carry significant indigenous Taino mitochondrial genes. Native Caribbean ancestry, primarily Taino, is still found among Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and Dominicans. Now check this out. This part really messed me up whenever I seen this. What is the spirituality of a Taino? Taino spirituality is centered on the beliefs in Zimis, spirits, or ancestors, and their representation through carved objects. They had a pantheon of gods and goddesses with Atibe, the mother goddess, and her son Yakubu, the god of the sea, being prominent figures. Taino cosmology also included the belief of Gayubenex and the goddess of storms and hurricanes. Okay, the Taino believed in a multitude of spirits, including ancestors, gods, and goddesses, which they called Zemi or Zemi. These Zemis were often represented through carved objects, particularly from rock. Atibe, she was the mother goddess associated with fresh water, fertility, and the moon. Atibe was often depicted in a squatting position as if preparing to give birth. He was Yakubu. He was the goddess of... I know I'm messing up these words, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was never taught none of this. So it's like the fact that I'm learning about this, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna butcher the words, bro. He was the god of the sea, agriculture, and cassava. Taino farmers would sometimes purchase statues of Yakubu called Zeni and place them in their fields to ensure a good harvest. I'm not finna pronounce that G word again, but we're just gonna go ahead. The goddess of storms. Ooh, actually I do gotta pronounce it. Gayuban. I'm just gonna say Gayuban. The goddess of storms, volcanoes, and hurricanes, known for her violent temper. The Taino word for hurricane, Jurakan, is believed to be the origin of the English word hurricane. The Taino pantheon is also Gukar, the god of the evil, or the god of evil and destruction, and other deities. The Taino had a matrilineal system of kinship and inheritance, which likely influenced their spiritual beliefs and practices. Social structure. Taino society was ruled by conquest chiefs and had a complex social... Ooh, my ear ringing again. Conquest chiefs and had a complex social structure with nobles, commoners, and slaves. That's crazy. Dualistic beliefs. Some Taino beliefs incorporated dualistic concepts with forces of creation and destruction, good and evil, being recognized. The Great Spirit. Some Taino traditions also recognize a single unifying Great Spirit, which may be associated with elements of wind, water, earth, and fire. Come on now. According to Latina Republic, resurgence and modern practices. Despite the decimation of Taino culture, there are ongoing efforts to affirm, restore, and revitalize Taino culture, including their spiritual practices. According to Britannica, the Taino produce various art forms, including pottery, carvings, and other artifacts, many of which reflect their spiritual beliefs. I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. What is my race if I'm Dominican? The majority of Dominican people identify as mixed race, which includes mestizo or indio and mulatto. A smaller percentage of Dominican people identify as black, and even smaller percentage as white. Minority groups within the Dominican Republic include people of Middle Eastern and Asian ethnicities. Does Taino show up on DNA tests? DNA evidence suggests that approximately 60% of modern Puerto Ricans have Taino ancestry. Today, Taino derived customs can be found in the Caribbean, especially among rural communities such as the Jibaros. Okay. You know, I'm just picking up on the energy, plus I feel like this has something to do with me as well. Because it also shows whoever you connect to. Not just... Let me see if it's raining outside right now. Hold on. It's definitely raining right now. It's raining right now. Let me go ahead. This is crazy. It's definitely raining right now, so let me go ahead and I left my window down. I'm back. I had left my window down. It started, I can already tell it was about to storm. You feel me? It's like literally, like I just heard thunder and everything right now. Like, that's crazy. But here we go. It's Taino black. Recent research revealed a high percentage of mixed or triracial ancestry in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Those claiming Taino ancestry also have Spanish ancestry, African ancestry, and often both. The Spanish conquered various Taino chiefdoms during the late 15th and early 16th centuries. Okay, the Arawaks Indians. The Taino and subgroup of the Arawaks Indians from northeastern South America inhabited the Great Antilles, Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico. All of this is literally on my channel, bro. Literally, the divine does not lie. The divine is literally telling me who I am. Literally, like right in front of your face, like literally telling me, like, cause I knew my intuition was just like, there's something up with all of this, and I already know. But people trying to cover stuff up. But I already know this is something bigger than what I ever expected. You know what I'm saying? Are there any pure Taino people left, tracing a lineage through centuries of change? Are we really doing this right now? Like, for real? These concepts are really outdated, said Estevez, who coordinates educational workshops at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian in New York. There is no such thing as a pure Taino, he continued, just like there are no pure Spaniards. How do I know if I'm two-spirited? Two-spirit individuals are often seen as having unique roles with their communities, which can include spiritual leadership, healing, and caregiving. They may also take on different gender roles and responsibilities depending on the specific indigenous culture and community they are a part of. And it says at the top, who were the Taino, the original inhabitants of Columbus Island? Come on, bruh. I mean, what is the Taino symbol? That look like a sun, right? That look like a wheel, right? That look like a wheel. And it also looks like the sun. Oh, and you see those three dots right there? That's wild. Oh, this is crazy. And that also looked like the video game. The video game sign. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The video game symbol. Found on a rock in 900 BC. The Great Seal is very important. It depicts two branches surrounded by 24 leaves of the sacred Kajabona tree. It is the sacred badge of authority according to the Taino and is indicative of tribal blood lineage. What god did the Tainos worship? The supreme deity of the Taino religion was Atebe, also known as Atebai or Ateberia. Atebe was seen as the creator deity and was the most important god for the Taino people. She was the goddess of the moon, fertility, and fresh water. Her son was the god Yakubu, and she was viewed as the mother of gods. You hear that thunder? Yeah, straight like that. We're Tainos black. Many Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and Dominicans carry Taino mitochondrial DNA. Some carry Y DNA originating in Africa, so resemble Africans. Not all Taino look black. What are the spiritual beliefs of the Dominicans? We Dominicans center our lives on Jesus Christ, the true light, moved by the Holy Spirit, radiating God's healing and presence in the world today. We celebrate the Word in daily common prayer, meditation, study, and in proclamation we call the holy preaching. Now watch this. Now watch this too. I got one more thing. We just gonna go ahead and end it off like this. They were rarely taller than 5 feet 6 inches, which would make them rather small to modern North American eyes. They painted their bodies with earth dyes and adorned themselves with shells and metals. Men and women chiefs often wore gold in the ears and nose or as pendants around the neck. What race does Dominican fall under? The population of the Dominican Republic is predominantly of mixed African and European ethnicity, and there are small black and white minorities. I think that's it. I think we're done. You feel me? Now, I appreciate y'all for supporting the channel. I'm glad y'all was here to learn with me, study with me. Hopefully this was helpful to you, because it was definitely helpful for me. You know what I'm saying? So, I love y'all, man, just for supporting me. Let me go ahead and turn this off. For supporting me, you know what I'm saying? Love y'all. Stay blessed. Get your Palo Santo, you know what I'm saying? Clear the energy out, you feel me? We really in here. As I said, I pick up on the energy empathically. You know what I'm saying? I know this has something to do with me, and it might have something else to do with somebody that's either connected to me or something like that. I'm already knowing. See, I'm not mad about this whole situation. I'm more of just figuring things out, because I know it has a lot to do with myself. But we're all connected, right? So it has to do with a lot of other people as well. Love y'all. I'm about to throw them pictures up. See y'all in the next one.